Okay, you might remember that I said earlier when I got the radio I was told it worked. I got to tell you that I did not for 1 minute believe that. I've been fooling around with old radios since I was a kid, so I knew better than, than to assume, oh, it works. I just took it for what it was. I didn't take it based on the fact that I might have thought it worked or it didn't work or whatever. But the most important thing is that I need to get across is someone has been in this radio. When, I don't know, but this has been left loose, and the screws were not in the radio. They weren't rolling around in the radio. This has been taken loose, and in the process there's a very, very fine wire off a coil that's been broken off of something. I think I can fix it. Possibly, but I don't know. The other thing is this panel has been loose, and behind it are resistors going across. Just like behind this one, there's two dog bone style resistors up in there. So someone along the lines has worked on this thing, and maybe the very guy that I got it from tinkered with it. And there are some people who are radio collectors that don't know what they're doing, and there's some that do know what they're doing. But if he took this apart, and of course he broke that wire in doing so, if he took this apart, obviously he misrepresented it, but I never believed him to begin with. I didn't buy it based on the fact, oh, it is working. No, I didn't think it was. I already knew that crazy switch assembly was wired into it. I'm kind of wondering, because that was attached to the plates, I'm kind of wondering if that was intended to be an output of some kind. And like I say, from the kind of grease I've been taking off the top of this chassis, wonder if this radio is in an office somewhere where they did some kind of oil-based heat treating, and maybe they had wired that out, and that may have attached to a panel on the wall, because there's no place in the radio cabinet where that assembly fit in. And they were feeding a sound system in their plant, and that's why they attached the wires to the plates, although that wouldn't have been a way to do it. If they did do it there, really, you almost would have needed a transformer in the line. Maybe they had something like, there was a capacitor in the circuit, but that one's a mystery. But like I say, this fact that somebody's been boogering around with this thing underneath, it leaves me to wonder how far I'm going to get with this thing. This might also, these are rheostats, and they turn very, very hard. I'm hoping that the wires inside are good. I'll have to test those. If they aren't, those things are very hard to find. I'll start with lubricating the shafts with some WD-40. So this is as far as I'm getting with it now, until I start doing some more research on it. So this is just a first look at my 1933 Zenith Model 411 floor radio. And as you've seen in the first clip that I put in, it's replacing the R35 Victor radio that I had, that I determined was really, it's restorable, the Victor is, but I didn't want to put that kind of work into that radio because of those broken coils up in the radio section, which is a shame. But I only wanted one floor radio in my collection. I don't have a huge collection of radios. Most of them are from the 1920s, but I had the Victor, and I was going to restore that. And this radio was offered to me 2 years ago. It was a freebie. It was a gift. And I refused it 2 years ago because I didn't have room and I already had the Victor. But when I determined that the Victor wasn't going to be really something that I wanted to restore, there's my helper. And when I determined that Victor wasn't something I wanted to restore, I decided to take this radio and replace the Victor with this radio. Now, there's some interesting features. It's got beautiful burled walnut closure over the controls of the radio, and of all things, it also has doors that close over the speaker grill. Now, first of all, this is the easy tuning device that they came up with in 1932-33. Typewriter key type things. You push it down and it just adjusts the tuning capacitors to the right position for the station you want to listen to. I see that there are some things written on here. I can hardly read it. But I'll have to look that over just to see where this radio might have been originally, according to the radio call letters that are up in there. But anyways, that's the automatic or the easy tune feature. Here are the controls indicating volume levels, signal strength, the tuning dial. This is the bass or treble indicator. The only thing I see wrong here is the decorative part, or this knob almost, I think, is not original, maybe, to the radio. And then here, there's the speaker grill. The cloth is all there. It's come loose on one end, all easily fixable. Now, this is just a first look video. I have no idea when I'm going to get to working on it. It might be a long time. I have other stuff that I'm working on, notwithstanding my 1950 Magnavox Embassy. So there it is. Now we take a look at the back. And here's the back of the 411 radio. Notice that they painted the chassis with a crackle gold finish. I see in the riders that there are several versions of this chassis, wired many different configurations of where the tubes went. Here's two blank tube socket holes that could have been used, you know, depending on what version of this radio I suppose they were making. Two speakers, and these cables are loose. I have to make sure, doggone sure, that when those get reconnected, and I have to, of course, I have to make sure the speakers are good. I think the cone, at least on one of these, has got a hole, and oh, here it is. This one's torn. So I have to see if that's repairable or not. I might have to have it reconed, I don't know, but I'll see if I can recone it myself or repair the cone when I finally get to it. Supposedly someone had recapped this. The man that gave it to me said that someone else had recapped it before he got it, and he said it did work. I don't know how well it worked, but it's kind of jumbled in here. I don't know how this all goes together. This, obviously, this cord is usable, but you know, it's not the right kind of cord for a radio like this. Here's, when I get to working on it, here's the cord I will use. That's the appropriate type of cord that would go on this radio. So anyways, that's about it for now. This is just the first look. A future project, some future date.